My expectations were in the toilet, and I pulled right up to the front door. I'm sorry. Greetings. It's your girl, Kelsey. Rom-com author, YouTuber, podcaster, comedian, oversharer, bestie on the internet, and I am just limping to the finish line of 2025. How about you? Okay, let's just take a minute to recalibrate from Thanksgiving. Just kidding, you don't have a minute to recalibrate because it's Christmas time. That's how I feel. Okay, right off the bat, I want you to comment as we go into the episode, your thoughts before we get into it. You have to vote. Is it better to go through life with high expectations, high vibes, anticipating the best, expecting the best, attracting the best, okay? Or is it better to go through life preparing for the worst, low expectations, preparing yourself for the bottom to drop out, and then you're not as disappointed? On the one hand, people would say, you get what you think of. You are like producing your own reality, so keep your expectations really high. And the other camp would say, then you're just going to be disappointed. It's better to be more realistic and just like chill the heck out. What are your thoughts? What camp are you in? What camp do you think is better? Let me tell you about expectations, okay? This is coming off of my Oklahoma City book signing and our Thanksgiving 11-hour road trip to see my family, splitting up the family, traveling in 2 different groups. I'm having a little trouble with re-entry after the Thanksgiving week. I would say Thanksgiving break, but it wasn't a break. Okay, it was not a break for me. Okay, so let's reverse back to the book signing. So if you follow along in my vlog, my video journey, talking about this end of the year and the book tour and all the things, then you know all the details. But I had a great book signing in Dallas at Plot Twist Book Bar, but there had been a big snafu about the books, and the owner was kind of not happy, and then my travel arrangements got rearranged and everything was kind of up in the air, super stressful, and I had low expectations for that, and it was amazing and just like blew me away. Then we go into Oklahoma City, which again, I talked about this in the vlog, but there's weird vibes in your hometown, because hometown people might know me as like high school Kelsey or college Kelsey or entrepreneur interviewing Gary Vee and Tony Robbins Kelsey. Like there's just, in their defense, I'm doing too much. I've done too much. I've done a lot of things, okay? But it's a weird vibe in your hometown. So I kind of was like bracing myself for like not the hottest crowd in terms of like getting all the jokes, laughing at the jokes, being very invested in the books. Because in the Kelseyverse world, for the last decade of posting things online, books are relatively new. And so then I get there, and it was a very strange venue to me. It felt weird. It was like a wedding venue, like a really small little wedding chapel next to the bookstore. Bookstore was super cute. Love Stories OKC, go check it out. But next to the bookstore it just felt odd to me. So I'm like, okay, this is a weird vibe. And then it's raining. And so this thing starts at 6. It's like 5:55, and it's like my mother-in-law and me and my assistant. So again, my expectations were in the toilet. I was just like, this is gonna suck. It's going to be terrible. It was incredible. Like everyone showed up right at the last minute. The room was completely packed. There was no empty space, and they laughed. It was the hottest crowd. They laughed at every single joke. It was so great. I cannot even. It was so great. Okay. So again, I'm like, okay. By the way, next show, Cedar Rapids, Iowa in January, and Houston, Texas in February. So I'll see you there. Now, next up, is our Thanksgiving trip right after the book signing. If you have followed me for a long time, you know, with our adopted kids, right after we got them in August, we decided to go to Nashville to visit my family for Thanksgiving 2 years ago. I was pregnant and it was awful. We came home early. It was just too hard. So last year we did not go at all because I had a 7-month-old and I was like, absolutely not. This year I was like, we're going to try it. And I honestly expected it to be trials and tribulations, you know, just the absolute worst, horror of horrors, traveling, being there, which it's lovely to be with my family, but it's usually freezing cold. So you're trying to keep the kids in this small area, or they go out for like 5 seconds and then come back in whiny. And my sister lives on a small farm, so it's not without some risk. Like there's horses, you know, and, you know, farm equipment and stuff. So it's not a relaxing vibe while we're there. And then you have to travel home, and the trip home is always harder than the trip out with the kids and everything, all the stops. It's like an 11-hour drive, and it was fine. It didn't blow me away with my low expectations, but I also had low expectations. So I was like, this is fine. We're doing pretty well. Trip out there was great. My husband went separately, drove with the kids. And in the vlog, I'll share more about my travel tips for families and long road trips with kids, if you're interested. I flew with the baby, and again, he did great on the way out. And then on the way back, it was a struggle, but we made it. I mean, there was a baby screaming their head off on that plane, and it was not mine. Okay. So I was feeling pretty good. But it was the busiest. So we traveled back Saturday from Nashville to Oklahoma City direct. And the Nashville airport Saturday after Thanksgiving was unbelievable. I've never seen an airport that crowded before. It made me very nervous. Just me and he's 18, 17 months old now. And I would let him out of his stroller and he would just run off laughing like, this is so hilarious. You can't catch me. Meanwhile, I can't see him because of all the strangers. And it's like just a sea of legs. So I'm like, you're going back in the stroller. And he was mad because he had to be strapped in for like 6 hours straight. I was like, this is, you know, this, yeppers, this tracks. Okay. So it has kind of been a lesson for me on like, and then here's another example. I am someone who loves to hear examples, and these are my real life examples as I share all of the intimate details of my life with strangers on the internet. No, not strangers, besties. Shout out. Thank you for following. I had the very high expectations for the Happy Christmas launch, which I know my bookshelves are a hot mess. I'm about to redo them. Sorry, my set is not super cute today. But I had really big expectations for Happy Christmas that were not met. It had been a year since I'd put a book out, but it's a Christmas book, so I just really had all these expectations. And I talked in the vlog about the mistakes I made with the launch. But I mean, basically since the end of September, professionally, I've been kind of depressed because I was like, I'm going to be everywhere. I'm going to be on like every podcast. I'm going to, you know, relaunch my YouTube channel, which that has gone very well. Shout out YouTube. Thank you guys. YouTube has all of a sudden been like very engaged and growing very quickly all of a sudden. So I'm so grateful for that. And it's like my, you know, OG home. Well, my OG social media platform was Facebook, which moment of silence was hacked and deleted at 64,000 fans. But YouTube was my other first love, where I started my first interview podcast. And so I didn't expect it to just bounce back and be awesome. And it has been. But with all that, I really thought the book launch would be kind of everywhere and everyone would be talking about Happy Christmas and it would have a lot of momentum. And so I've just kind of been bummed out since the end of September. You know, obviously not all day, every day, but like when I open up my laptop to get to work, or I look at numbers, or I'm sending something to my assistant, or I'm, you know, planning the next thing and I'm having trouble being motivated to write, and it was just such a bummer. And that was an example of having really high expectations, which I was reading about high expectations versus low expectations. And one of the things listed in this post was like, for example, if you expect a book launch to go really well, you will put a lot more effort and energy into marketing. And I just kind of wanted to be like, and thus you'll have a better book launch, was what it was saying. And I wanted to be like, no, that's false. You're a liar. So there's two camps. Okay, so like Tony Robbins, Oprah, those types of people would say, and a lot of woo-woo people on Instagram, like you're attracting what you're putting out into the world, like your energy creates your reality, and again, sometimes I want to be like, yeah, but are you rich and famous before you have your positive energy? Like, are you already a millionaire when you learn to be positive and attract a high vibes, but you're not also like broke or drowning in children or debt or ailing family members? Like, you know what I mean? So I do get a little bit irked with that. And I grew up, I would say, prosperity gospel adjacent. Like, bless God, we're gonna pray for that parking spot and he's gonna come through. And do you know that I pulled right up to the front door? I'm sorry. I hope the Lord is working on the cure for cancer and like the situation in Nigeria. I don't want the Lord working on my behalf about a parking spot. Come on, somebody. But, there's a lot about believing the Lord for blessings and believing that you have favor and all that stuff. That's another school of thought example. On the other side, there's like people who study Stoicism. And I think James Clear, whoever wrote Atomic Habits, and Anne Lamott, Bird by Bird, one of the best books ever. And people who are in recovery maybe. And those types of mentalities are more like, lower your expectations, allow things to be difficult. The obstacle is the way, it's going to suck for a while, and be open and ready for more things to go wrong, and just kind of accept that life is not all sunshine and rainbows. But then I'm like, that kind of sounds like a Debbie Downer. Like, if I lower my expectations about everything all the time, am I kind of becoming like a negative Nelly? You know what I mean? And maybe I'm just right now ranting, coming off of the ends of a big disappointment professionally. And also like adopting 4 children of various ages. We did a lot of training and we did go in with, I think, somewhat realistic expectations, but there are things that you do have high expectations and you can't show the kids. Obviously the kids, you protect them from your expectations and your thoughts and feelings. But like, first time we had birthdays with them, or sit down and having meals with them, or, getting new toys or presents or stuff like that. And like, you learn real quick to lower your expectations because you just do. And everything has been way harder than we anticipated, even though we anticipated for it to be difficult, even though we did, hours and hours and hours of training before adopting, so maybe just personally and professionally, I'm in a crusty place. And so I would like to hear your comments on this. But I think I have figured out an answer, not the answer, but an answer to sort of this, like, what should our mindset be question. And I think the answer is the gratitude that you bring to the table. So, like, the overall, like, you can have joy and be positive and still expect things to not go well. Like the Nashville trip, I was still so grateful we were able to do it when last year we couldn't do it. I saw my kids loved it. I could see and appreciate in the moment that this was great for my parents and this was great for my kids and my nieces. Like, I could see. And so even though I had low expectations and they were almost spot on, I was coming with a grateful heart, an open heart. And I think that's the key. So like, I would say lower your expectations, but keep your attitude of gratitude. I'm sorry, that it feels lame coming out. It felt lame, and now I'm disappointed in myself. Let's redo it. So even if you lower your expectations, still coming with a grateful heart, being open for things to go better, not being crotchety. Okay. So like lowering your expectations across the board without being bitter and crusty and negative, which I struggle with because I kind of trend in a bitter, sarcastic, snarky direction because it's funny. But, jokey joke, make a joke to hide the pain, as I say all the time. I think that's the key. I would say in life, you will have less heartbreak and disappointment if you lower your expectations for big events, big moments, hard things, but continue to have gratitude, be willing to still see the bright spots, be willing to still see the benefits, and be willing for things to go better than you expected. And at the same time, not getting bitter, not getting super duper negative, not becoming like a grumpy gray cloud. Like, I think that's kind of where I tended to go with like, lower your expectations. Bleh. That's not actually what I'm saying. Just lower your expectations a little bit, not your attitude, not your happiness, not your joy, not your approach to how you do things. Like for the book launch example, I would say I should do everything I did for the book launch and more in terms of like the professional like preparation and things that I did. I should have done more and worked harder and, maybe had an even better attitude or whatever about the book launch, while still not expecting me to be able to come back a whole year later, because the indie world is different. I know maybe your favorite author is someone at Barnes and Noble and they put out one book every 2 years. The expectations are different. My readers, the majority of them, are like binging my books on Kindle Unlimited, okay, on their Kindle. And so like once they're done with my books, then they move on to the next author that they binge all their books. And it's rare to stay top of mind unless you're regularly releasing books, which I talk about in my writing tips video here on this channel. Please like and subscribe. All right, is this helpful? Is this making any sense? I feel like it helped me to think this through, honestly. Next, I want to talk about the same thing, but different, because we're looking ahead now. It's mid-December. We're looking ahead to January. At least I am. I don't know if you guys are, but looking ahead to January. And it's the same question, but different, which is, do you think we should set huge, amazing goals? What do they call BHAGs? Big, hairy, audacious goals is what we used to say in like the 2000s. Do you think you should set huge goals and like the kind of mentality of like, shoot for the stars, you're going to reach the treetops? Like you won't reach the stars, you won't hit all those goals, but you'll get a lot further than you would have, versus set a few very small goals and, work at gaining momentum, keeping promises to yourself, getting disciplined. What are your thoughts? Because I feel like it kind of goes with the expectations conversation, which is why I decided to combine this into one episode. My answer is different though. I mean, yes, having the good attitude, but if you are someone who, the last few years you've set very small attainable goals and you've kind of been trucking along and you've kind of gained some momentum, I would say it is time to set bigger goals. I would say you've graduated. If you achieved 8, 9 out of 10 goals from last year, I say it's time to go big. I say it's time to go much bigger. For me personally, I always set ridiculous goals. Just like this year, I'm going to make $200,000. I'm going to be on the New York Times bestseller list. I'm going to do a sold out comedy club. No, you're not. But, and those aren't actual examples, but I set very high goals, and, at least at the first half of the year, keep a tracker and I'm chugging along. And I do think it makes me work a little bit harder and stay a little bit motivated for a little bit more motivated for a little bit longer. I think I always sort of run out of steam at the end of the year, especially if I'm working on big things. I'm just exhausted, but I get further setting those crazy goals. There have been years in my life where I'm like, I don't want to be disappointed in myself and I need to cut back. Basically, like the couple years where we had the kids had just arrived and the baby had just arrived. Like those couple years, I was like, Kelsey, calm down. You can't do any of this. I guess with me, goals and expectations are a little bit different because I'm setting huge goals, expecting to almost reach them. Does that make sense? I'm not expecting to reach all my goals. I want to be like, some years I make a whole page of notes, just a whole entire page, and they're all different goals. Well, maybe I'll reach 50% of them. I mean, what's that, 30 goals or something? I'm not going to reach all those. Then there's other years where I may only set 10 goals and it's like, I better get to 8 of these or 7 of these. And I believe in goal setting. So if you're somebody who's never done goal setting, never done like forecasting for January, never sat and made a vision board or a word of the year or any of that, I think you should. I think you should. I think it's a great exercise, even if it's just like something to keep you pumped for January, February, March, and then you run out of steam. Hello, winter is awful. Like, you need something to keep you trucking through January and February, at least here in Oklahoma. So I would say, yes, no matter who you are, what you're doing, if you work out of the home, inside the home, you know, if you have finance goals, weight goals, any kind of goals, you know, online, growing, all that kind of stuff. If you have those things, you should set goals. I believe in goals. But I also want to say our goals are going to be better and make more sense for the next year if you actually take the time to review last year. So that's one of the things I always do in December. And this is not like some, you know, Pinterest sit down. I mean, some years it is, but this year I'm just going to try and find my old planner that I ditched halfway through the year when I was like, no, we're not homeschooling anymore. I'm going to go find that, see what goals did I write out? Did I get close on any of them? I know I released all the books I wanted to release. I mean, there are some things I know that I did do, but again, I got to go review. So I encourage you to review and then set some goals for yourself. And I want to know, thinking ahead to next year, planning for next year, if you're enjoying the podcast, send me an Instagram message if you listen on audio, because on audio, it's just like shouting into the void. I have no idea of knowing if you're enjoying it or not. Obviously, you can leave a review on iTunes and follow on iTunes, but I would prefer that you send me a direct message and say, I love the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, I know a lot of my YouTube crowd is more interested in the other video content than the podcast. So if you are watching the podcast each week, leave me a comment and let me know. I have a bunch of ideas for this podcast for next year, but this is the end of season 1, 2025, for the podcast. So there'll be a few weeks where I don't have a new podcast, and I'm just trying to figure out what this looks like next year. You know, it would be great if I had more of like a Q&A format. A lot of big podcasters have like a phone number where you can call in, but based on the amount of comments I get and direct messages I get, I don't think I can support paying for like a dial-in phone number. I don't think enough of you guys would actually call in. But I would enjoy that format of getting to answer questions and talk back and forth with you guys. I do have interview ideas for interviewing other people. I also have lifestyle ideas of like things that I want to do like around the house or with me personally or with my business. And then I could just document that as a podcast episode, kind of combining the vlog and the podcast into one thing. So I have a ton of ideas, but I don't know what the future is. I don't know what the future of Happy Tears is. So I would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts, things you want me to do, things that sound cool, people you think I should interview. As we head into Christmas, to wrap up this episode, I would say keep your Christmas cheer, but lower your expectations. My expectations for December, my expectations are probably too low. I've probably descended into grumpy territory, into bah humbug territory. We have so much going on. Choir concerts, basketball games, basketball practices. The little one just had to get another cast put on. I mean, it never freaking ends. And, you know, they're like, we got to get the decorations down. We got to start this. And then we started a 12 days of Christmas tradition. Oh, my goodness. Where we pop a balloon every day leading up to Christmas. And inside the balloon is some extravaganza for the children. I will tell you, though, our elf on the shelf is a manager. She actually goes with Santa for the present delivery. She is very important. So she does not arrive until the 26th. No, the 25th. She arrives on Christmas Day and she leaves on New Year's Day because she is too valuable to the North Pole to come here the entire month of December. Okay, I love you guys. I hope you had an awesome 2025. I hope you take some time to reflect and then refresh your goals for next year. I hope you message me about the podcast. I am just, I am happy but tired. You know, I've had some disappointments professionally, but I'm inspired after those last 2 book signings because they went so well. I'm energized about that. So that's it. That is it for Happy Tears Podcast Season 1. Remember, if you see a mom chugging through the airport very fast with a toddler in a stroller, but that toddler is not crying and she maybe is crying, those might be happy tears.